Ancient societies could predict celestial cycles, divide land, preserve laws, classify living things, and construct proofs across generations. Yet their most disciplined methods still reached disputes that observation alone could not settle. The difficulty was not a shortage of intelligence. It appeared when reasoning had to judge the conditions of its own success. A procedure could produce a reliable result. A proof could establish a conclusion. An argument could remain coherent. None supplied a common rule for comparing every system in which such results were produced. This is before logic, a history of rules before they were written. Much ancient reasoning was precise because it was local. Babylonian texts preserve procedures for recurring numerical problems. Egyptian sources record methods of measurement and administration. Greek geometry organized demonstration through definitions and deduction. Chinese traditions developed stable forms of classification and judgment. These were not incomplete versions of one later system. They were methods shaped by different tasks, languages, and institutions. Their reliability depended upon those settings. That dependence was difficult to see while a method continued to work. A calculation could be repeated. A judgment could follow precedent. A classification could be taught. Success made the underlying conditions appear settled. But each method began from rules it did not fully establish for itself. Operations had to be accepted before calculation. Premises had to be admitted before deduction. Categories had to be fixed before objects could be assigned to them. Disagreement became harder when rival systems remained internally coherent. Greek philosophical schools often began from shared observations, while offering incompatible accounts of change, causation, knowledge, or nature. Argument could clarify where they differed, but did not always decide between them. The conflict had entered before the conclusion. It rested in the premises, distinctions, and standards by which a conclusion counted as adequate. Paradox exposed this pressure with unusual precision. Zeno's arguments showed that familiar assumptions about motion and division could generate conclusions at odds with ordinary experience. The liar paradox revealed another instability when a statement referred to its own truth. Neither problem could be repaired by gathering more observations. The disturbance arose within the statement, the inference, or the conditions under which evaluation was possible. Aristotle's syllogistic system imposed a powerful discipline on part of this problem. It separated certain valid forms of deduction from persuasive speech. An argument could be tested by its structure rather than by the authority or skill of the speaker. Yet the gain was specific. Relations, quantities, modal claims, and arguments involving several conditions did not always fit standard syllogistic forms. Formal control expanded, but it did not cover every kind of reasoning in use. A deeper difficulty remained. Valid inference could preserve error as efficiently as truth when its premises were false, ambiguous, or poorly formed. Logic governed the passage from premises to conclusion. It did not determine which premises should enter the argument. Observation, definition, testimony, and prior theory supplied that material. The structure could therefore be secure, while its account of the world remained uncertain. Language placed pressure on the process even earlier. Ordinary speech allowed context to carry information that no sentence stated explicitly. A term could shift in meaning between speakers, schools, or stages of an argument. Ancient discussions of ambiguity and fallacy show that the problem was recognized, but recognition was not enough. Before an inference could be tested, its terms had to remain stable. Where meaning moved, formal validity could conceal a change in subject. Classification created a related boundary. Plants, animals, constitutions, virtues, and kinds of knowledge could be arranged into ordered groups. This reduced complexity and made comparison possible. But a category did not merely record the world. It selected features, fixed thresholds, and excluded differences judged irrelevant. Borderline cases were not accidental defects. They revealed the decisions required to make classification usable. Mathematics reached greater certainty by narrowing its field. Greek geometry achieved rigorous deduction within carefully defined objects and operations. Other ancient mathematical traditions often emphasized procedures that solved recurring problems without adopting the same model of proof. These approaches answered different demands. Surviving sources do not reveal a shared formal language treating number, magnitude, relation, change, and ordinary argument within one system. Transmission imposed another limit. Knowledge survived through manuscripts, schools, commentaries, memorized procedures, and administrative practice. But preservation did not guarantee reconstruction. A rule could remain in use after its justification had weakened. A text could survive while the assumptions needed to interpret it changed. Writing stabilized expression, yet communities still had to restore missing context. The evidence is uneven. Many works survive only in fragments, later copies, translations, or reports by critics. No single account can represent every ancient tradition, and modern categories do not map cleanly onto all of them. Even so, recurring tensions are visible between procedure and justification, proof and premise, language and form, preservation and understanding. The structural limit was not that ancient reasoning failed. Successful reasoning remained tied to the conditions that made it intelligible and usable. Each refinement controlled one source of uncertainty while leaving another outside its reach. Procedure stabilized action. Proof stabilized inference. Classification stabilized knowledge. None made reasoning independent of language, institutions, or inherited assumptions. Those dependencies did not vanish when political authority changed. Methods could be copied, taught, translated, and reorganized under new institutions, even when the states that first preserved them no longer existed. In the next episode, we will examine why logical systems outlived political power.